Hi guys, it's March 21st, 2020, and I want to start off by recommending people who are new to this page and new to the Q movement to go to Joe M's YouTube channel and to watch his Q Plan to Save the World series. It's really important for everyone to understand Q, and it's going to be difficult for a lot of people to understand certain topics that I'm talking about if you don't understand Q. And Q, in a nutshell, is a military intelligence operation that was started over 20 years ago. And there are two key objectives behind Q. Number one, the Q team is conducting a shadow war that has been active ever since President Trump was elected to take down the deep state satanic pedophile cabal. And there have been active military operations taking place on a global scale since President Trump was elected in 2016, and I'll get more into that later. Number two, the second key purpose of Q is to inform the masses of the truth with the largest intelligence drop in the history of the world. Q started off posting on 8chan, then 4chan, 4chan, then 8chan, and now 8kun. But you can go on qmap.pub and read every single one of Q's posts going back to 2017. And in those posts, Q reveals the crimes of the cabal. And the purpose of doing this is because the mainstream media is completely controlled by the cabal. So Q needed a way to bypass and override the mainstream media to inform the masses as to what is going on behind the scenes with the cabal and the shadow war that's been going on for a few years now. And the reason why Q needed to reach us and talk to the people is because when they do sweep up and arrest all of these criminal cabal members, they needed a huge chunk of the population informed before that happened. Because if they weren't informed before that happened, there would have been an outright civil war in this country. So I encourage everybody, go watch Joe M's videos. You can follow him on Instagram and Twitter at Storm Is Upon Us. He's a friend. He's a great man. And he's an absolute beacon of light in the Q movement. And he puts out the most incredible information. And he's a very reliable source. So another thing I wanted to say is I just want to encourage people to stay calm and to have faith. We are in a spiritual battle right now, so it's very important for people to stand firm in their faith and to pray. And I encourage people that have been supporters of Q and leaders in this movement to stay strong and to stay positive and to avoid fear-mongering. There's a quote I want to read that was posted on the U.S. Air Force Material Command verified Twitter page. This is the quote. "Commanding during a crisis is an opportunity of a lifetime for you, your chief, and your spouse to rise to the occasion and lead through the storm." General Dave Goldfein. I want to encourage people to stay strong and to stay optimistic. I understand why people are scared and they're anxious and they're confused. But the people that have been following Q for years now, we're the people that need to step up, and we're the ones that need to inform the masses as to what's really going on. We are God's army, and we're being called to fight. And if you stumbled upon Q, you stumbled upon Q for a reason. And this military intelligence operation cannot happen without the people out there fighting this war online, the digital soldiers that General Flynn talks about. So I just encourage people to stay strong and stay positive. You need to, for the people that are ill-informed and they don't know what's going on. Be strong. Be a leader. This is your time to shine. And what defines you as a person is not the events that have happened in your life. What defines you as a person is how you react to the events that happen in your life. Okay? So, this is going to be a continuation of, is the coronavirus being used as a cover to conduct the mass arrests? This will be part 3. Okay? So, in my last 2 videos, I've talked about how I believe that martial law is coming. Okay? So let me just read to you real quickly a definition of martial law, and this was published in the Military Times the other day. This is the definition that they put out there. In simple terms, martial law is the replacement of civil rule with temporary military authority in a time of crisis. While its imposition is rare, the United States does have several noteworthy instances where martial law came into play, including times of war, natural disasters, and civic disputes. Okay, we've been in a shadow war. We're at war. Okay, so I believe that martial law will be declared in at least a few states. And whether the president declares martial law or individual governors of states declare martial law, I don't know. And maybe they won't officially declare martial law, but we will basically be under martial law. I live in California, and we're basically under martial law right now. And we're on lockdown. Many states are on lockdown, and people can get fined for not obeying the lockdown rules. All right. So whether it's called martial law or not, martial law is happening. I hate to break it to you guys, it's happening, but it's good. And I'll get to that soon. So we've seen the National Guard deployed in over 30 states. We've seen the military move in. I think I reported in my last video, the Marines have been setting up quarantine sites up in Camp Pendleton here in San Diego, and they're doing it in other cities as well. So we have the National Guard active, we have the Marines active. What else do we have going on here? ICE agents are gearing up to raid homes during the coronavirus lockdown. Okay, that is another proof that this lockdown will be used to conduct mass arrests, which I talked about in part 1 and part 2 and gave examples of how the mass arrests are happening. Oh, what else? The U.S. starts to release low-risk inmates due to coronavirus outbreak. Okay, I have 2 theories on this. Number 1, the White Hats are releasing low-risk inmates from these prisons because they need the space for the criminal cabal members that have sealed indictments. So when these sealed indictments are acted upon, there's over 150,000 sealed indictments, and from what I hear, one sealed indictment could include more than one person. So do the math on that. So they might be releasing low-risk prisoners to make space for these criminal cabal members that will at some point be rounded up. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be a week from now. I pray it's not going to be a year from now. But only the Q team and God knows that. My other theory is the deep state's releasing these low-risk criminals in the hopes that when they do drop the hammer and arrest all these cabal members, that they take to the streets and start a civil war. However, if you follow Q, you know that Q has said patriots are in control. So if patriots are in control, I imagine the first theory is more plausible. Okay. My friend on Twitter that I used to follow before I was kicked off, at mil_ops, so at MIL_OPS, he reported today that the German Air Force, the Spanish Air Force, and the Royal Air Force are all in the country right now at the same time. He said, I've never seen this many non-combat military aircraft in our country at one time. Also, what happened in the past few days, the U.S. military gave a continuity of government standby orders. For the first time in modern history of the United States, the Department of Defense has been given standby orders to ensure the continuity of government in response to the coronavirus pandemic. These extraordinary measures, which include evacuating White House officials to remote quarantine locations and devoting the nation's leadership to second-tier officials, were originally meant for the aftermath of a nuclear war. However, according to Newsweek, above top-secret contingency plans are now in place in case the nation's constitutional power successors are incapacitated by the pandemic. Standby orders have been issued for a series of plans under the U.S. Northern Command, which was created in response to the 9/11 attacks as a Homeland Defense Military Authority. Okay. So that's happening, and I'm not a military expert, but there are anons and people on social media that are, and they're all saying that this is a really big deal. All right, so I want to read something else to you guys that Joanne posted. Someone wrote, what if China, Russia, and the USA, along with other countries, were working together to bring down the levers of the controlled New World Order? Joe said, incredible Q proof. On April 9th, 2018, Q posted, thank you, Xi. Good start. China/CQ cancel. The compound Trump announced today could cure the coronavirus. Chloroquine is called CQ. We always had the cure, and Trump's friend Xi went around the deep state to give it to us. Joe wrote, patriots were already clued into the deep state plot to kill millions with the coronavirus. Xi told us about it, and we laid low waiting for them to unleash it prior to the election, but with a monumental plan of our own waiting. And then he puts a storm emoji. Boom. Okay. So, as I've said in my other videos, the deep state is behind this pandemic. The deep state is the one that created the coronavirus. However, the white hats found out that they not only created this virus, that they were going to use it as a weapon against the American people before the election. And what the white hats did is they intercepted their plans with the virus. And to quote Joe, we laid low, waiting for them to unleash it prior to the election, but with a monumental plan of our own waiting. Okay? So the white hats knew about this, and they had their own plan. And my theory has been that their plan is to use this real pandemic and real virus as the cover for the mass arrests. And like I've said in my other videos, there are mass arrests happening, and there's clearly military operations going on, and this pandemic is being used as a cover to keep people inside so they're safe, so hell doesn't break loose on the streets, so a civil war doesn't ensue. So when they get the big fish and they go in and they arrest the big players, there's not a civil war. There's not chaos. There's not crimes. There's not looting. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it. And I could be wrong. I've said this many times, but each day I wake up, every 10 minutes, there's something that pops up in the news or on social media that just adds credence to my theory. So another thing that I want to kind of fill you guys in on is that, to kind of go along with what Joe said about President Xi of China, a lot of people are confused because Trump's saying that the virus came from China. And so people don't understand how President Xi could be working with President Trump when he's the president of China if China is behind the release of this virus. So let me explain to you how this works. Every country has cabal members in it. Every country has a deep state. The United States has a deep state. Israel has a deep state. North Korea was controlled by the deep state. China has a deep state. What Q has told us is that their military operation that they've been planning for over 20 years has involved many white hat global leaders and their cooperation. And they've been making deals with leaders in other countries that are not members of the cabal for a very long time. Okay? So let me just give you a few facts to think about here. President Trump was allowed in the Forbidden City in China. He is the only president that has been allowed in the Forbidden City. India. Did you guys see President Trump's visit in India? They held a rally for him with over 100,000 people. India went crazy for him. They treat President Trump like he is the second coming. The mainstream media doesn't like to report any of this stuff, and they barely do. Kim Jong-un. President Trump crossed the DMZ. President Trump entered North Korea. Saudi Arabia. The sword dance. Do you guys remember the sword dance? Did you watch the footage of President Trump's visit to Saudi Arabia in 2017? It was in the middle of the night here in California, and I watched it all night. I stayed up all night watching it. I used to report in the White House. I used to cover visits with foreign leaders and dignitaries in the White House. And when I watched President Trump's visit in Saudi Arabia, I was blown away and so confused. I could not believe the red carpet royal treatment they gave him, and I had never seen anything like it in my entire career. And I didn't understand why they were just praising him and giving him the treatment he did, because I've never seen any president get this kind of treatment. Of course, other presidents have gotten warm receptions and have had the red carpet rolled out for them. Of course they have. But they give President Trump a greeting and ceremonies and celebrations like I have never seen in my life. And again, I have a background in the White House. I used to cover these events for a living. And in 2017, I thought to myself, what is going on here? And what was going on? So if you go back to 2017 and you go on YouTube and you type in President Trump's visit in Saudi Arabia, type in President Trump, Saudi Arabia, sword dance. What we now know was going on, thanks to Q, is that President Trump made a deal with King Solomon. He made a deal with King Solomon, an economic deal with King Solomon, under the contingency that King Solomon would take down and arrest the deep state / cabal faction of Saudi Arabia. And that sword dance that they did for President Trump, which is supposed to be the highest honor in Saudi Arabia, and it's also supposed to be done before going to war. That was symbolic, and that was done because King Solomon and President Trump were aligning together to take down this pedophile satanic cabal. And the rogue members of the Saudi royal family are at the top of the cabal and these child sex trafficking networks. And right after his visit, Q posted and informed us about this. And sure enough, after Q started posting, 30 members of the Saudi royal family were arrested. And then just the other day, we saw 298 more members of Saudi Arabia's government arrested. So what people need to understand is that the Q military operation has been in the works since 1999. And the President Trump and the White Hats have been working to eradicate the globe of this satanic pedophile cabal for years. And they've been aligning with other good leaders, other white hats that work in government for years now. This is the greatest story that's ever been told. Joam says that all the time. There are going to be so many movies that will be made out of this. There's going to be so many books that will be made out of all these events that have happened. And the crazy thing is most of it's happening behind the scenes. Most of it's not reported. The mainstream media doesn't even talk about it. The mainstream media has written hundreds of thousands of hit pieces about Q, but they absolutely refuse to ask President Trump if he's part of Q because they know he is and they know it's real. So there is so much significance that has been going on with President Trump's visits with foreign leaders. Like what I've noticed as someone that specializes and focuses on child sex trafficking, I've noticed that there's often been times when President Trump has met with a foreign leader, and after that visit, or a phone call with a foreign leader, and after that visit, the next day or a few days later, there's a massive pedophile ring that is taken down in that country. So there's so much going on behind the scenes, and it's really unfortunate that the mainstream media is barely scratching at the truth here. But that's why you have channels like mine, and that's why there are other patriots out there spreading the truth, and that's why we have Q. Okay, what else I want to talk about? Okay, let me just read this Q drop one more time. And I'm reading this for the people that need hope, the people that are having doubts. I want to read this to hopefully calm your nerves. Okay, so we have the National Guard being deployed in multiple states. Q's 22nd post is titled National Guard and Marines. This is what Q said, and this was back October 31st, 2017. This was one of Q's first posts. Who controls the National Guard? Why was the National Guard recently activated in select cities within the U.S.? Can the National Guard work in coordination with the Marines? Yes, they can. Do conditions need to be satisfied to authorize? What former president used the military to save the Republic? To save the Republic. And what occurred exactly? Biggest drop to ever be provided on poll. Study and prepare. The masses tend to panic in such situations. No war, no civil unrest, clean and swift. Q is telling us that the National Guard and the Marines need to come in. So there's no war, so there's no civil unrest, and so it's clean and swift. So stop panicking. Calm down. We have the best military in the world. And it's been strengthened because of President Trump. Q told us over 2 years ago this was how it was gonna happen. So people who are followers of Q, why are you panicking? Don't panic. Everything is unfolding exactly as planned. So again, people need to understand that you are seeing military vehicles in the street right now to protect you. It's to protect you and to keep you safe. They are going to take out these horrible cabal criminals, and they're doing it in a way that's going to keep people safe. And unfortunately, it involves the military in our streets. But that's the way it needed to happen. That's the way it needed to happen to keep people safe. That's why we're in lockdown right now. That's why we're self-quarantined. And if you're frustrated that you're self-quarantined right now, if you're pissed that you can't go to a restaurant right now, or you can't go to the gym or whatever, just remember, the reason why you're self-quarantined right now is because of these sickos that are raping kids. So be mad at them. It's President Trump and the white hats that have sacrificed everything to eradicate this evil from the earth. And if you feel like complaining because you're bored in your home for a few weeks, let me tell you something. If you being bored in your home for a few weeks is the biggest sacrifice you have to pay, so child rapists are wiped off the streets and another child is never raped again, that is a really, really small price to pay. I talk to victims every single day. I have friends who have been the victims of satanic, ritualistic abuse. They have been to absolute hell and back. Google satanic, ritualistic abuse if you want to see what these monsters do to these children. So I don't want to hear anyone complaining about boredom and self-quarantines right now, because these children have suffered. And if the only price that you have to pay to get these sickos off the streets is that you're bored in your house for a few weeks, then you're blessed. There are people in this movement who've given up everything for this day to come so there'd be justice for the kids. So think about that. Think about these children and what they've been through. And the next time you want to complain, think about those kids. Think about what they've been through. Okay, let's get to the fun part. Okay, there's one more thing I want to say. You know, the fake news is talking about this going on for months, and I don't believe it. I don't believe it. This is going to go on for months, okay? I've been covering President Trump for years. I started covering him, I think, back in 2005 or 2006. And President Trump reveals so much in his speech, even when he makes very simple statements, okay? President Trump does not lie to us. President Trump is a man of his word, and he keeps his promises. And he's never wrong. He's never wrong. You can go back through his entire Twitter history, and there's things that he has said decades ago that sounded crazy, and sure enough, they were proven to be true in a matter of time, okay? Now, the media is fear-porning and leading people to believe that, you know, we're going to be like in isolation for months and blah, blah, blah. Q has said done in 30. President Trump issued the travel ban for 30 days. Now, if Q's done in 30 correlates with the travel ban, this is going to be over in 30 days. 30 days is April 10th, 2020. That's Good Friday. I believe that the self-quarantine will probably be over on that day. I don't know for sure, but I don't believe we're going to be self-quarantined for months and months. That's fear porn from the mainstream media. President Trump has said, this is going to be over sooner than you think. I believe him. That man has never lied. He's never lied, and he's never let us down. He has reiterated that this is going to be over sooner than you think. He also said some areas are not so bad. When he says that, I believe that he's referring to states that don't have a high number of sealed indictments. So there are some states, for example, like Wyoming, and the last time I checked the indictment map, there was less than 100 sealed indictments in that state. So that state may not have to go under martial law. It may only be states like California and New York and states in the East Coast that have a crazy number of sealed indictments. The states that don't have a crazy number of sealed indictments may not have to go down into as extreme of a lockdown as other states. Okay, so that's what I think President Trump means when he says some areas aren't so bad. Another thing that President Trump has said, and has said this more than once, I believe, he said that by the election, we're all going to be more united than you think. If these masks really are happening, and they do happen before the election, everyone's going to become a Trump supporter. Once the truth comes out and goes mainstream about what these people were doing to children, everybody's going to unite. Everybody is going to unite. I have faith. I have faith that that is going to happen, and I have faith that people that were blinded by the mainstream media to believe Orange Man bad will see the truth, and they will see the President Trump that I know. And I truly believe, and I'm going to say this right now on the record, I truly believe that come election night this year, that President Trump will win every single state. I would bet a lot of money on that. Okay, let's get to one other thing, sorry. There's a lot, so it's hard to keep track of everything. Another thing that Q told us, and this goes back to people needing to relax, Q said a scare event is necessary. I believe we are living the scare event. I believe Q said the scare event is necessary to keep you safe. This is the scare event. And this scare event is being used to actually keep you safe. So you shouldn't be scared. If states weren't on lockdown, that's when you should be scared. Look what happened after the election. Look what happened after President Trump won. The deep state sent out all their foot soldiers to create chaos and loot and riot and to incite violence on Trump supporters. If we weren't on lockdown for these mass arrests, that's when you should be scared. Not now. The lockdown is keeping us safe. Q has told us this. Q has warned us for over 2 years. This is necessary. Unfortunately, this is necessary. But as Joam has explained in his videos, they needed a way to take down the cabal where there's not a civil war or World War III breaking out. So they had to conduct the shadow war behind the scenes. And the scare event that is happening right now is necessary. And I can't reiterate enough, it is such a small price for us to pay when you think about what these children have been through. One more article that I just came across the other day that I actually had never seen before, I don't think. In 2018, Newsweek came out with an article that said the Pentagon spent $500 million to train soldiers to fight underground. That was in 2018. Okay, why is the Pentagon spending $500 million to train soldiers to fight underground? Where do you think they keep the children? Where do you think they traffic the children? It's underground. Among other things that are underground. It's underground. Research the McMartin preschool trial. Those children were trafficked underground. And the FBI a few months ago, which I reported in another video that I've done, the FBI a few months ago released the records from that trial proving that there were tunnels underground that preschool where children were trafficked to a church where celebrities, local athletes, priests, politicians, famous athletes were raping the children. And not only were they raping the children, they were conducting rituals on these children. These children were victims of satanic ritualistic abuse. And they were able to do that because they were trafficking the children in the tunnels. There are tons of celebrities that have homes with tunnels underneath them. And not only do they have tunnels underneath them, a lot of the tunnels underneath their homes connect to the homes of other celebrity members of the pedophile satanic cabal. You can go online and you can research this, and you can actually find articles in the mainstream media about celebrities that have tunnels underneath their homes. Okay, some of this stuff is actually in the mainstream. So okay, speaking of celebrities, all right, I'm gonna try to keep this quick because it's late and I'm getting really tired, but Q said enjoy the show, and the celebrity meltdown right now is the best part of the show. So let's just start with Oprah, okay? I think it was last Sunday night, maybe Monday night, people started posting that Oprah had been arrested and that they found tunnels underneath her home in Florida. Well, my lawyer and I did the research, and we couldn't find any records that proved that Oprah currently owns a home under her name in Florida. So I knew that that was a false report, okay? Then I think the next day, about 24 hours later, it was trending on Twitter that Oprah had been arrested. I don't know where it started, but it was trending on Twitter that she had been arrested for sex trafficking, okay? I was skeptical of the reports, but after it was trending for a while, it got to be number one and number two, okay? And what happened is Oprah came out and issued a statement and said that the reports were false and that she hadn't been arrested, okay? Now, when she made this statement, I went under her tweet and read all the comments underneath her statement. And almost every comment was patriots dropping red pills about Oprah. And so I had a theory that maybe the White Hats had released this fake rumor as a red pill to prepare the sleeping masses who have no idea about the nefarious stuff that Oprah's involved in, to prepare them for what is about to come, to plant a seed. Okay? Now, there's other people that think it was the Black Hats released this information to, spread fake news and to try to debunk Q. And that's possible too. But the outcome, I believe, regardless of what the intention was, is positive. Because what happened is, when Oprah came out and was forced to address this quote-unquote rumor, tons of patriots flooded her page, and they dropped truth bombs about what Oprah's ties in child sex trafficking really are. So, in effect, millions of her followers that have no idea that she's tied to this ugly stuff just learned for the first time that she is. Research Oprah's school in Africa and the child sexual abuse problem that went on there. Research how a dead baby was found in a backpack, in a student's backpack at her school. Research John of God. That was Oprah's spiritual advisor. She literally made this man famous. He was a mass murderer. He was a child sex trafficker and a rapist. And he ran a baby farm. and he was arrested, I believe, last year. He was Oprah's spiritual advisor. The guy's a child sex trafficker. What about Harvey Weinstein? What about the victims of Harvey Weinstein that have come out and said that Oprah was used as a pawn to lure them? Or maybe I shouldn't say pawn, maybe as a conduit. You've all seen the pictures. You've all seen the pictures of Oprah licking Harvey Weinstein's ear. Okay? Oprah's not innocent, you guys. Her time will come. It's too bad that it wasn't the other night. All right, let's move on to Tom Hanks. So, Tom Hanks. I'm actually so sick of talking about Tom Hanks. All right, so Tom Hanks, Chet Hanks, Madonna, Ellen, they're all losing their mind. They're all members of the cabal. They're all guilty. They're all freaking out. And if you've been following me and or people in the Q movement, you know that these celebrities talk in code. And if you go to Tom Hanks' social media pages, you will see that he has a shady Instagram page and a shady Twitter page where he posts articles of clothing and items from little children that are apparently missing. And he writes the strangest posts, okay? Joe M says that he's running a sex trafficking operation on his Instagram page and his Twitter page. Sarah Ashcraft came out 2 years ago, and she said that Tom Hanks sexually abused her and purchased her as a sex slave when she was a little girl, okay? Tom Hanks is up to his eyeballs in this stuff, and if you've been following me for a while, you know that, okay? So I predicted that Tom Hanks could be one of the first big names that's arrested / unsealed and sealed indictments that will be unsealed, okay? And there's been a lot that's been pointing to that, and I've covered that in the past, so I don't need to be redundant, but Tom Hanks is posting a lot of weird stuff, and even if you don't believe that he's involved in child sex trafficking, I don't see how any rational person can make sense out of any of his posts. They make no sense. It's obvious he's talking in code. It's even if you don't believe he's involved in child sex trafficking, explain his tweets. Explain his Instagram posts. It's obvious he's talking in code, okay? So it's interesting because, there was a picture that he posted of him and Rita, and a lot of the Anons picked up on the fact that the door in the background had a barcode on it. And a lot of people pointed out that government buildings have doors with barcodes on them. So now a lot of people are wondering if that means that he has been arrested. It's possible. I don't know for sure. There probably are buildings that have doors with barcodes on them that aren't government buildings, and maybe it was the doorway at a hospital. But that combined with all of the other strange things that he's been posting, his son came out tonight and basically issued a threat on Instagram to Trump supporters. And he was trying to make light of the accusations that have been made against Tom Hanks and was making a joke about eating a pineal gland and making jokes about child sex trafficking and being in the Illuminati and whatnot. Well, that's what these people do. That's what they've been doing for years. They make light of the truth because they believe you're too stupid to figure it out. And they believe that to get power over Satan and from Satan, that they have to reveal truth in plain sight. That's like Illuminati 101, okay? So they will say, I'm a pedophile. I like to rape babies. Ha ha ha. And then they try to make it out like it's a joke, but I don't know any rational person that thinks a joke about raping infants and toddlers is funny. So they think you're cattle. They think you're sheep. They think you're stupid. They think you're too stupid to figure out that it's not a joke. But we're not stupid. We're awake now. Okay? So Chet sitting there and joking about child sacrifice, it's not funny, loser. We're on to you. We're on to you, and we're walking with the Lord. You're walking with Satan. God wins in the end. There's a reason why the last post Q posted was God wins. So Chet said in his video, he basically threatened people that were exposing the truth about his father and said that we're going to round you up and throw you into FEMA camps. And he specifically said Trump supporters. He just revealed what their plans were for us if Hillary won. That was their plan. So yeah, Chet, thanks for confirming for all of us what your plan was for us Trump supporters if Hillary had lost. So, Chet, total loser. Madonna and Tom Hanks both have been posting pictures of a Corona typewriter. So, I don't know. I mean, Tom Hanks went to Australia allegedly to film a movie, and then after he lands in Australia, he gets the coronavirus, but he just happened to carry his Corona typewriter with him on a trip around the world to Australia. Like, he just, like, oh yeah, I gotta grab my, like, hairbrush, like, my running shoes, Wilson, and oh yeah, throw that Corona typewriter in the suitcase. Like, who does that? Is that normal? They're talking in code, people. The Corona typewriter is a message. It's a code, okay? Madonna's completely losing her mind, and it's really fun to watch. Madonna was typing in a Corona typewriter, and she was posting on her Insta story the other night. And she posted some weird letter. And at the very end of the letter, she said that she's so angry she could kill a bowl of pasta. Well, pasta is a pedophile code word for little boy. So what she just told you is that she could kill a little boy. And then she doubled down. She doubled down today. And today, she did a video in her bathroom and was singing about how there's no more pasta. Do you guys really think she's talking about pasta? Do you really think one of the most famous and wealthiest singers in the world is truly out of pasta and cannot get a bowl of pasta? Do you really think she's talking about food? Pasta is a known pedophile code word. Ellen is losing her mind. So Ellen has been posting these weird videos where she's calling different celebrities and asking what they're doing and talking about how bored she is. She made one phone call wearing a sweatshirt with a bloody face on it, and it actually looked like the Wilson volleyball from Tom Hanks' movie. What was that called? Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. You guys know what movie I'm talking about. Someone will post in the comments. Castaway. So she was wearing a sweatshirt with what looked like the bloody face from the Wilson volleyball, all right? And an Anons noticed that when she was sitting, there was a bunch of different letters on her sweatshirt. And when she was sitting, it read, Run Forest. So that clearly was probably a coded message for Tom Hanks, and is she letting him know that he's screwed and he should run? Is she letting the rest of the cabal know that he's already arrested? I don't know. It definitely was a message. I believe it was Tom Hanks. I think that theory is pretty strong. What's another weird thing that Ellen was doing? Oh, she did another video in a sweatshirt with the swirl. Okay, the swirl is an FBI identified pedophile symbol. Okay, the FBI has released documents, and they use this symbol to catch people that are raping children. She's sitting, posting videos right now, wearing a sweatshirt with an FBI identified pedophile symbol, okay? And you know, if you don't believe that Ellen's guilty and she's so great and she's so funny and like this seems like pie in the sky to you, Well, then let's talk about the painting in her house. So Jennifer Garner posted a video of Ellen, I think reading a book to kids or something. And this was yesterday. And it was in the background of Ellen's house. There's this creepy painting. It looks like straight out of Tony Podesta's art collection. And if you're not familiar with Tony Podesta's art, then just Google it. You'll be horrified. Tony Podesta is John Podesta's brother. John Podesta is Hillary Clinton's former campaign manager. And his emails were released by WikiLeaks in 2016, and they were filled with pedophile code words. That's what the crux of what Pizzagate is all about. Anyways, this painting, Anon's analyzed the painting, and there's all these satanic symbols on the painting. The same satanic symbols that are used at Marina Abramovic's spirit cooking dinners, Marina was also in the Podesta emails, are in this painting. Okay, and then I was on Ellen's story last night, and she posted on her Insta story 2 images of, or a video of little kids that had red paint all over their bodies. There was one little boy that looked like he was screaming. He was only in a diaper, and looked like he was covered in like ketchup or red paint. Knowing what we know about what these people do to children, seeing that, it was so disturbing. I couldn't even reshare it to inform people. I was so disgusted by it. These people are sick, and they're absolutely losing their minds right now because they know they're screwed. They know they're screwed. They're losing their minds. Chrissy Teigen. A lot of you guys know about the Twitter war between Chrissy Teigen and I. Earlier this week, she went on this rant telling the First Lady to F off. Just out of nowhere, for no reason, like totally unprovoked, starts this rant swearing at our First Lady. So these people are they're totally losing their minds. They're insane. A lot of them are on adrenochrome, and they're going through withdrawal. And let me tell you something. The adrenochrome withdrawal is supposed to be worse than any drug. So if you think they're acting crazy now, which they are, it is only going to get worse. So, I mean, when Q says enjoy the show, yeah, this would be what he's talking about. Okay, one last thing I just want to mention really quick. It's important. Earlier this week, journalist and Pizzagate debunker Peter Bright, who used the name Dr. Pizza on Twitter, convicted of attempting to have sex with children. He claimed Pizzagate is fake, while he also bragged about being a pedophile on Twitter. They throw their pedophile pizza code in your face and then have the audacity to tell you you're crazy if you believe Pizzagate is real. Okay? So this guy, he was at Dr. Pizza on Twitter. He's a reporter. He works for the media. He actively tweeted saying that Pizzagate is fake and pizza's not a pedophile code word. Yeah, well, he was just indicted for trying to have sex with children. You've been lied to. You've been lied to about Pizzagate. It's real. It's always been real. And it's time for the masses to wake up. So share this video. Subscribe to my channel. Like my page. I'm on Instagram at Liz Crokin. On Facebook, you guys, just so you know, there was like a huge dilemma that went on Facebook today. I only have one active Facebook page that I use, and that page, just go find Liz Crokin. It's a picture of me holding a George magazine with JFK Jr. on the cover, okay? My page, you can follow it. I'm maxed out on friends, but it has right now 53,537 people following it. I'm telling you about this page because someone started a group and was insinuating that I was running it, and it just got 5,000 more followers in that group, and I had nothing to do with it. So just be careful of fake Liz Crokins out there because they keep popping up, and it's really annoying. So I guess it goes with the territory. Anyway, so if you want to support me in my work, you can donate to me at paypal.me/Liz Crokin. If you want to buy one of my Q hats, you can find my Q hats and other gear on the website liz-crokin.myshopify.com. And that's all I got for tonight, you guys. Again, I just can't reiterate enough. Stay calm. Stay positive. keep the faith. Live in faith, not fear. That's all I got. All right, good night.